Hi, today I'll be doing a cooking demonstration. We will be making apple cinnamon rolls with a bread machine. There are two parts to this recipe. For the first part, we'll be using sugar, flour, milk, salt, bread machine yeast, butter, and eggs. So when using a bread machine, liquid ingredients go first, your dry ingredients go second, and then last comes the yeast. When pouring in your liquid ingredients, they need to be warmed to room temperature. Here's our milk. We needed 1 cup of milk, and it goes. Here we have the 2 eggs we need for the recipe. They are both at room temperature. Here we have 1/3 cup of butter. We need 1/2 cup of sugar and 4.5 cups of bread flour. Oh my gosh, I got 3, 4 and a half. The next step is to pour in the salt and 2.5 teaspoons of yeast. 1, 2. We now have all our liquid ingredients, our dry ingredients, and lastly the yeast. So the next step we will do is put in the bread machine. It's not going in the bread machine. There you go. And put it on whichever number your dough cycle is. This is the step that concludes the first part of this recipe. For the second part of this recipe, you will need cinnamon, apples, butter, brown sugar, and a little bit of flour. You'll need 2 cups of diced apples. You'll need 1 cup of brown sugar, and then 2.5 tablespoons of cinnamon. Now you want to pack your brown sugar. You don't want it loose. We don't have a half, we just kind of estimate. It doesn't need to be precise. That's about 1/2 teaspoon. I've added the 1/3 cup of butter to the cinnamon and brown sugar. We're just gonna stir it. You want it to be a little clumpy, but not too much. Like this is too much clumpy. Too much. We're just gonna squish the softened butter down. Now we will incorporate the diced apples and the mixture should look like this. So the apples are the main thing, and then the brown sugar just kind of coats them. So this is the dough we had from our earlier step. I put it onto a floured surface. What we're gonna do now is you're gonna put a little bit of flour and you're just gonna roll it out flat. You want it to look kind of like a rectangle once it's done. See, I needed more flour. This dough needs a lot of flour in order for you to maneuver it to where you want. I personally put my dough in the fridge so that it'd be easier and it wouldn't shrink back into its original size. So you want it to look like a rectangle. This is not looking like a rectangle yet, but it will. You want it to be about maybe 1/4 of an inch thick all the way around. You definitely want it even. All the sides should be around the same thickness. You want it to be consistent. So I'm gonna fold this in. I'm gonna push it this way. Push it out. See how it's, okay. So when I roll it, it goes back it wants to go back into its original size. So when you chill the dough, that kind of helps with that effect, because if I wouldn't have chilled it, it would already shrunk back to its original size. And that would be good. So our next step is to mix the apples and cinnamon together and then put it on top of this dough. And this is what it should look like when you are finished. For the next step, we're going to roll this whole thing. So we're just gonna kind of fold it over and over again. You wanna make sure the sides are kind of equal. And you're just gonna keep rolling. See right here, I didn't put enough flour down in this area, so the dough is sticking. You don't want that to happen. Make sure you flour your whole surface. And we're gonna roll it. And we're just gonna keep rolling. You wanna make it kind of like a Swiss roll. You want it to be even on all sides. And for the last part, we're just gonna take it and we're gonna try to seal it with our hands. And that is the end of the step. So I have my greased 9x13 pan right here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut each section of the cinnamon roll into about 1 inch. I have the oven preheating to 400 degrees, and soon, once it's ready, we'll put them in the oven. This is the finished product of the apple cinnamon rolls. We're gonna look inside. You can see the little chunks of apple right here and right here. To re-summarize on the steps, the first thing you're gonna do is put your ingredients into the bread machine. You're gonna do your liquid ingredients first, dry, then your yeast. The second step is to put on the dough cycle. Third step is to mix up the apples and cinnamon and the brown sugar together. Fourth step is to take out the dough, roll it out into a nice big rectangle. Then you're gonna pour the apples and cinnamon onto it. So the fifth step is you're gonna wrap it up and chop it and put it in a greased 9x13 pan and bake it in the oven at 400 for 25 minutes. This sums up my presentation. Thank you for listening.